everyone's getting better slowly. So as long as you stay on top of your game, like you can get to that point. But like I said, everyone's getting better. So as long as you're like doing everything you need to do, it's going to be pretty hard not to improve. But like with all these advancements and like recovery and training and all these new things that we know now compared to like 10 years ago, where we think that, you know, you have to be working yourself and do well every workout. Like I bet you like it's not going to be crazy that sub 14 in like 20 years probably be like this next sub 14:30. Like it's just going to keep getting better. So, you know, the sky's the limit for this sport now.
Legends, welcome back to the Running Effect Podcast. That was Oliver Horton today on the Running Effect Podcast. I'm your host, Dominic Schlueter. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Whenever you're listening to this, I hope it was a good time with family, friends, whoever you chose to spend it with. Today, I have the opportunity to spend some time with perhaps the fastest junior in the country and one of the greatest I've seen do it in a long time. He's run 14:23 in the 5K on the grass. He also ran 14:48 on his state cross-country home course, where at that very same course a few years back, Parker Wolfe, an absolute stud at North Carolina and now with Nike, could only manage 15:10. So he's already running 22 seconds faster, if my math is correct, than Parker Wolfe, only as a junior. Scary thought. This guy's going into NXN as one of the top contenders for a win just as a junior and has a bright future ahead of him. So we sit down to glean insights and wisdom from his career, the progression that he's experienced, what he attributes it to, his mindset in sport. He's remarkably eloquent for a 17-year-old, and I really enjoyed his outlook on the sport and on life. If you enjoy this one, give us a 5-star review. It takes next to no time to do so. Hit the follow button so you don't miss more conversations with the best of the best in our sport, and share the podcast, as that is the easiest way in which we can grow this thing. I hope you guys are doing amazing, and without further ado, enjoy this conversation with the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Oliver Horton. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting across from an absolute stud, someone who ran legitimately 2 minutes faster than I ever did in high school and at altitude. This kid's a stud. He's the future of American distance running in high school. Oliver Horton, here's a who. How you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me.
We were briefly talking about, before we hit the record button, NXR, which was this past weekend. Curious to have you dive into that performance because, look, we can talk about the cross-country championships and the state championships and the fast times, but for a lot of kids listening or adults, it's going to be unrelatable because you are as good as you are, and so I think taking a minute to talk about the adversity and how you plan to bounce back could be meaningful. So you placed 5th at NXR, top 5 go to NXN. Obviously you want to win a national championship. How do you bounce back from adversity, and how do you view a performance like that?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is just putting my head back down and realizing that like fitness isn't going to disappear just because of one race. You know, I think as long as I'm doing what I need to be doing outside of running, like just to stay mentally sharp and just as confident as I was going in, like the result will come at NXN. So I think just making sure that I've been doing what I've been doing all season, and it's going to be pretty hard to have a bad race in NXN.
A part of your story I'm fascinated to talk about is like these kids, including you, come out of nowhere. Every fall, it's always a really fun thing for me every about August to figure out, okay, who are the top kids? Because when I look to have the top kids in the country on my podcast, in high school specifically, it can be confusing sometimes because like you have cross country and then you find out who the big dogs are and you can assume they'll be the big dogs in track. Generally that pans out. But then all the studs generally graduate, and so you're like, oh, who's going to pick up the torch? And I feel like a lot of people like yourself, you know, the guys running, I think you ran 4:08 in the mile, 8:54 in the 32. Like some people know your name, but you're not necessarily in the conversation quite yet for national titles. And then I'm guessing you have a crazy summer of work and you kind of come out of nowhere. What's it been like for you kind of having this big coming out party this fall? And I don't think a lot of people knew who you were on the national stage.
Yeah, so actually it was quite the opposite over summer. Like I ran Nike Outdoor and I took 10 days off, and I got building back to running like really slowly. Like I just pretty much ran easy up until middle of August. So I mean, it was a little surprising. Like my opener, I ran fast. Like I ran sub 15 on a slow course. Kind of caught me off guard, but I think like what I contribute to my success is just like we've been paying so much more attention this year to mileage. Like usually in the past where we don't care about mileage and it goes up and down week by week, but now like we're looking at my log and it's super consistent week by week. So I think that's like pretty much why I've kind of made the steps and improvement that I have this year. So I'm just really excited for what's to come.
And you're 16 years old, junior in high school. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, I'm 17.
17. Okay. When did you turn 17? Is that new?
No, no, I'm pretty old for my grade. I turned 17 in
Okay.
June.
Got it. Got it. I must have made a mistake on the notes here. 17 junior, even from that perspective, um, like you're still young and have whole, seasons ahead of you. How have those conversations gone with your coach in terms of like, okay, we want to do really well this season, right? And you've obviously done so far, but maybe not having the pressure that I think so many seniors face who are high level athletes where it's like, I want to win a national title. I've worked hard for 5 years and this is my one shot to do it, whereas you have multiple shots.
Yeah, yeah, I think just the fact that I'm a junior, I'm having the success that I am. It's really nice because I have a whole another year as long as I'm healthy. So I think my coach is very mindful about how much mileage I run. That's kind of how she's always been since I started running with her. So I think it's nice that there's always room for improvement with with the mileage that we run. And I think that like just with like I don't know what else to say. I think that's probably all I should say for that.
All good, man. All good. What race this season has surprised you the most? I feel like you had that crazy PR on the grass. If I'm not mistaken, you ran 14:23, something crazy like that. And then you also had that crazy race at altitude where you ran 14:48 on a course where, Parker Wolfe ran 15:10.
Yeah, yeah, I think the biggest like shocker to me was definitely a state. I think, in the back of my head, I was kind of thinking of like being the first person to break 15 on that course. I wasn't too focused on it. The main objective would just go out there, try to win and just race really hard. And surely enough, I was running by myself the most of the time. And kind of when I came through mile two, I saw the split. I was like, okay, I can run sub 15. So at that point, it was just me against the clock and like just to see how far I can get under 15 at that point.
Is it crazy to you to run that fast at altitude because the conversions are nutty? And I'd love you to speak about, altitude because I think like someone like me, I live in Columbus, Ohio. That's about as far as you could get from altitude. So I don't really understand what it's like to race at altitude. Could you give some perspective to the listener on what it's like?
Yeah, yeah. So it's totally much different than racing at like sea level and like all these different places. Like your heart rate's obviously gonna be much higher, and if you get out too fast too early, you're just gonna really pay in those last 2 miles. Like in the past, when I've got out too fast in a 5K at altitude, like those last 2 miles, that last half mile, like dude, you're slugging along, like your heart rate's crazy high. You kind of go in a dark place, and it's like, especially like when you're doubling day for races at altitude, like you can feel a difference here too with the recovery and everything. Like I think if I were to race a 32 the day before a mile, at altitude, it'd be much worse than at sea level. Like everything, you got to be much more mindful about how hard to work too, because you can work yourself into a well much easier here.
What would you say about I was going to say your class and your junior, so maybe like the state of the sport, high school distance running? Because again, going back a few questions ago to kind of the state of the sport and how every year there's a lot of turnover. I think it can be hard as a fan to follow. Okay, like the guys I followed a few years ago, I was like Connor and Simeon graduated. Okay, who's next? They were so exciting, so fun to follow. And then it was guys like Drew Griffith who carried the torch. And then after he graduated, it was Tavon Kitchen and Josiah and those guys who carried on the torch, and then they graduated. It's like, oh, who are the big players? Is NXN and Foot Locker going to be as exciting this year as it has been previous? And you look at the early season meets and contenders like yourself, and you're like, oh yeah, we're in good hands. So how do you feel about the state of the sport? And even talking about something like NXR Southwest, where the field's ridiculously packed to even make the national meet. You're still in the conversation to win the national meet, and you got fifth at your regional meet. What's it like to be a part of this charge, this resurgence this year?
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. I think that everyone's getting better slowly. So I think as long as you stay on top of your game, like you can get to that point. But like I said, everyone's getting better. So as long as you're like doing everything you need to do, it's gonna be pretty hard not to improve. But like with all these advancements and like recovery and training and all these new things that we know now compared to like 10 years ago, where we think that you have to be working yourself into a well every workout. Like I bet you like it's not gonna be crazy that like sub 14 in like 20 years probably be like this next sub 14:30. Like it's just going to keep getting better. So I think the sky's the limit for this sport now.
How do you think that will work long term for American distance running? Obviously, we've seen Cole Hawker, Nagoose, Graham Fisher finally start to take Nico Young start to take America to the level we haven't been at in years. And I feel like that effect from the pros is trickling down to the high schoolers, and now American high schoolers are starting to train and compete at another level. So how do you think it'll transfer to guys like you when you're professional runners one day? You're not starting with, the 15:15 that a lot of these guys had.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think it's just going to allow us to compete with the best in the world much better than we have in the past. Like with all these guys that can go into college now and they can compete with, the people, the foreigner, the Europeans, and the Africans that have just dominated the sport for so long. I think now we're slowly starting to catch up, and I think it's great to be part of it. I don't want to take it being healthy, like advantage of being healthy or anything, but I think just people being better in high school, it's definitely going to help elevate the pro scene in like 10, 15 years from now.
What do you think you did this season, specifically off season, to really up your game and make all these improvements?
Yeah, yeah, like I said, like I touched on before, like being consistent with mileage, but I think this year compared to last year, not a lot has changed except I'm just not stressed about running anymore. Like last year, when eighth grade started, I started putting a lot of pressure on myself. Like I had to do all these things, but like now I'm just enjoying it. Like before NXR, I wasn't nervous for any race, and I'm like, I have a mentality like I get to do this, I don't have to do this, and it's a privilege. So I think I run much better when I'm not stressed about it, and I think that just kind of help me compete better as a whole, no matter if it's in practice or out of practice. Like I'm still doing all the things I need to be doing, but I'm not constantly thinking about running. Like I know that even if you're out, like just not think about running, you're not gonna lose fitness. If anything, it's gonna help you just kind of help enjoy the sport much more than you would if you were thinking about it all the time.
To someone listening who wants to make some of the jumps you have, a lot of people aren't racing, for NXN, Foot Locker, etc. So I guess talking to the people who, a lot of them are in their off season after state trying to improve this track season. What are a few things you think most athletes can do to improve season over season?
Yeah, I think it's just the consistency with your coach and your training. I think if you make too many big jumps, you're just going to get hurt and it's going to put you much further back than what you were. So I think just enjoying it day in and day out, like enjoying the grind, enjoying the easy runs, the workouts, the struggle and day-to-day training. And, it's like being comfortable with where you are. Because I guarantee you there's a person who wishes they were at your speed right now. So just kind of not taking anything for granted, just making sure that you're enjoying everything and just being consistent because that consistency is just going to help so much more in the long run because sometimes you can just have crazy big jumps in training just by doing the same thing just because you've been under the same system for 5 years.
What do you feel like has been the thing that you enjoy the most in terms of training, and then the thing that feels like a chore in training? And that one thing that feels like a chore, how have you come to love it maybe in some ways?
Yeah, yeah. I think that like the biggest thing with like that feels like a chore for me is it's weight training. Like, I do weights 2 to 3 times a week, and man, like after a hard workout, you're tired, your legs are a little like they're unstable, but you still got to go to the weight room and do what you have to do, I think. But that's always been a struggle with me, like having motivation to do things that like weight training and things like that. But being around such a good team that I've been spoiled to have in the past 3 years, like we all go to the weight room, we all have fun with it, and we all kind of just like push each other. Because if I was doing weights alone every day and working out alone every day, like it'd be much more miserable. And things that I enjoy is it's definitely just easy runs, like doing easy 7 miles with all the guys on my team, laughing, joking around, just talking and having normal conversations. Not being on our phone, just kind of like talking about our days and just joking around because you can usually have some pretty good memories about like exploring places on easy runs. So that's definitely the thing I enjoy most.
Talk about your relationship with your coach. I know she has a long history in the sport. What's it been like having that collaborative relationship, and how have you benefited from her guidance?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm really spoiled to have such a great coach. I mean, I've been running under her for 10 years now. Like I've been running under her since I was 7 years old in club, and I went to the high school just because she was there. I think like she knows me so much as an athlete and as a person. So like I wouldn't rather be coached by anyone else. I pretty much give all my credit to her. We've grown, we've learned so much together, and I think I wouldn't be like half the person I would be right now if it wasn't for her and all the sacrifices that she makes for us and for me and my team.
How'd you get into the sport of running? Take me through some of that journey all the way up to today.
Yeah, yeah. So in elementary school, I think it was kindergarten. We had a little like a school club named Land Sharks. I was in kindergarten. My parents signed me up just to keep me active. I wasn't a fan of it at first. It was April, May in Colorado. It was cold. It was miserable, and I did it for 1 or 2 years, being forced to. And as soon as I won one race and I got hooked immediately. Like that feeling of just winning a race and being better than all these other people. it kind of got me hooked. And then after that, like I was begging my mom to have me join like a club outside of school. And eventually we found Kokopelli, which is where Lisa coached. And after that, it was just kind of slowly improving with her and just kind of enjoying it with all my teammates.
When you think ahead to the future, NXN coming up here, what are the goals? Where's your mind at?
Yeah, I think the goals are, I want to get top five. I just want to be in that front group, and most importantly, I just want to compete. Like at NXR, I kind of gave up a little bit mentally just because my legs didn't feel good, but I just want to get in there. I want to compete. I want to run hard, and I think that's where the best results will come. I think I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, like being fifth at NXR. Some of the spotlight's off me now, so I can kind of go under the radar and just be the dark horse in the race and just race hard and just enjoy racing with all these top people in the nation because you're only in high school once, so you might as well enjoy it.
I feel like NXN every year is a bloodbath with the rain and the mush and the mud. Does that excite you at all, or are you dreading that a little bit? And
Yeah, I think
if you say it excites you, is that a political answer to not show weakness to the competitors listening?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like I
Yeah.
was thinking about it last night, like driving back from like we were just hanging out with our friends and I was driving and I think it was cold out and I was like, dude, it's gonna be this cold at NXR, like or at NXN. It's miserable, but that's just how it is. It makes the experience much more like cross country like if you look at Europeans in their cross country races, it's completely different than how it is in America. Like it's always muddy for them. Seems like conditions are always terrible for them, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to get the job done in whatever condition that you're provided, because that's how you're gonna meet your ultimate goals. So I think I'm excited. I can do well in either condition. So I think it's just how bad I want it that day.
Rankings, how much do you look at them? Obviously, I don't follow them that closely, but occasionally when they pop up on Instagram, I notice, and I feel like your name's constantly been floated around the top. How often do you pay attention, and does it hold any weight or meaning to you?
Yeah, I pay attention a little bit. I usually try to stay off social media, especially towards the end of a season, just so that I'm focused on what I'm doing and what others aren't. I think that it can help you a lot, but it can hurt you much more. Like, let's say you're not ranked as high as you want it to be, that can affect you mentally and you kind of go into a dark place. But, my coach is big on like putting your head down and working. So as soon as I got like ranked first on mile split, like she was like, let's get rid of Instagram. Let's lock in. Let's just focus on what we need to do and just not worry about these rankings. Because at the end of the day, like running is literally just competing when you need to and just being able to perform on the given day. So like the rankings don't matter. Like you just got to go out there and you got to just run really hard.
How crazy was that to you to see your name top of the nation and think, honestly, this whole season, just have this mindset shift of like, oh, I'm going from wanting to make a Nike Outdoor Nationals to like, oh, I could win a national meet.
Yeah, it was a little surprising. Like I remember I was in class. Some of my friends have an off period, and then we get out of school. We go to our aux gym to get ready for practice, and they show me. And I thought they were like trolling me for a little bit. Like it just kind of caught me out of like I don't know. I wasn't expecting it at all. It was pretty cool to see like I was ranked number one and everything, but it kind of was like oof. Like now the target's on my back, so it was a little bit of a negative reaction. But soon enough, my coach walked in and she talked to me about it. She saw it, and I was really happy that my coach is on the same page of like, this doesn't matter. So let's just get rid of Instagram and just focus on what we need to do.
If I'm not mistaken, did you run NXN last year?
Yeah. I got 30th last year at NXN.
Yeah, what was that experience like, and how much value do you place in having the experience going into this year, second time around, and then even thinking ahead to next year, you'll show up as a senior having raced it twice. That's something that a lot of your competitors won't have from an experience perspective, and specifically on that course, the pressure, like doing it multiple times, helps handle the stage of everything that comes with it.
Yeah, totally. I think last year I got there, I was really excited, but I was really bummed that my team didn't make it. So I was by myself, like I was roomed with Ty Storts. I was a little sophomore. I didn't really enjoy it much. I was kind of stressed about it. I wasn't really taking everything in and I was kind of taking it for granted. So I think now like it's gonna help me like just enjoy it so much more and just be happy with where I am. I'm still gonna race hard and everything, but like enjoy that because like I said, like you're only in high school once, but yeah, I mean things happened in the race that I couldn't control and I kind of just went dark mentally. But I think this year I'm much more prepared than I was last year.
Speaking about, you're a junior in high school, so I can only assume every school in the country is calling your phone and hitting up your email and your DMs. What's it been like navigating, the pressure of being really good, the pressure and the thoughts of, okay, I need to keep my head down, focus on training, racing, etc., while also thinking about your future and where you want your future home to be?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been really exciting. It feels weird that I'm at the stage where I'm talking to college and I'm going to go to college in 2 years. So I think it's really exciting, like being able to talk to all these coaches that have coached so many great athletes. Obviously I've had calls with them. I haven't. I think I talked to my coach and we came to a conclusion that like we're not doing any visits during cross just so that we can focus on what I need to do. So I think yeah, it's really exciting, but I'm pretty good about just like tuning it out. Like I don't think about it. There's not much stress that comes with it. So I think as long as I do what I need to do, like I'm gonna find the school that's right for me, and I'm hopefully gonna do really well at the collegiate level.
You don't have to spill any tea here, but in the back of your head, do you have a few thoughts of schools that stand out as, potential future destinations?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There's one big front runner. There's a couple that are really close to it. So I think I'm slowly narrowing down my search, and I think I'm just really excited to get out there and kind of see how these teams interact, and just like I said, like it's just the next step in meeting my lifelong goals. So it's just really exciting.
Have you thought much or reflected much on how you're making those dreams you may have had 4 or 5 years ago in the sport come true? Thinking about running at the D1 level.
Yeah, yeah, like I said before, like it's just not taking anything for granted. Like, if I was like in seventh grade and I was looking at the times I'm running now and how I'm placing now, like I'd be really surprised. Like, I just need to make sure that, I'm enjoying everything. Like, I'm really grateful for my health and I'm really grateful for all the people that do so much for me. So I think like it just not taking anything for granted. Like, I'm really lucky that I get to do this at this high of a level. So I just got to enjoy it.
What are you most excited about coming up here? And how, I guess, actually, before you answer that, how do you figure out training where I'm sure you've been training really hard through a lot of these races and now maybe get to back off a bit? Where are you at in the training cycle?
Yeah, so 12 days out from NXN now. I think, like you said, we're kind of toning things down in training. It's exciting because now we got to do a little more fast stuff. But at the end of the day, we're kind of doing a lot of the similar stuff, just like those longer repeats. Just kind of sticking with what we're used to. And it's obviously exciting to cut mileage and have your legs feel a little more fresh. But I think if you cut too much, you can kind of feel sluggish, and that's kind of happened to me at one meet earlier this season. But I think, yeah, I'm just really excited to kind of get the right mileage and go to Oregon and just be able to have fresh legs and just get after it really hard.
What are you keeping your mileage at mostly during the season?
Yeah, yeah. So the usual week, if I'm not like, I think I've dipped twice for state and twilight. So I think every other week except for that, I've hit 53 to 54 pretty consistently. So it usually consists of like two workouts and then a long run, and it's been really consistent. Like this has been by far the most consistent that I've been, and we compared year by year. And like last year, I was hitting like 20 miles this week and then like 35, and I randomly like shoot up to like 50 and I'd be like back down. It's just been like a roller coaster. And I think I felt that in my races towards the end of the season where I'm like, why do I feel so tired? And it's like, dude, you tapered for these races you didn't need to. And it definitely affects you later in the season where you didn't need to be dropping mileage, but you did. And it's just going to impact your fitness later.
Is there any specific workout you've done that thinking back stands out to you as you walked away from that cool down and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I hit those splits?
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think there was two. One definitely in the beginning of the season where I think it was like the second week of school. We did like a 3 mile tempo in the morning with a 1 mile warm up, 1 mile cool down. We came back in the afternoon and we had like 3 by 1 mile off like 2 minutes. And I think I ran like it was like this dirt loop that we do that's pretty much a mile. And it's like I ran like I'm not sure what the first two splits were, but I ended up closing like a 4:24 I think on dirt, and I was just really excited. Like my teammate Xavier wasn't too far behind me, and I was like, holy crap! Like how are we this fit off pretty much like easy running for a month or two? It was definitely just like really exciting, and like I was able to do pretty similar workout. I think like a week out from state, a little more, a little less. And like we did the same thing in the morning, 3 mile tempo at like 5:20. We came back and we had like 5 600s around this dirt loop again. And I was like pretty much hitting 60 to the 400 every time. And I was like, there's no way, like I can do this over track. Like I don't know how I have this much speed right now. It was definitely really nice, especially just because everything's kind of coming together slowly. So it's gonna be really nice to reap all the benefits at NXN with all this training.
Are you doing, I always forget I had a mind fart there because Foot Locker is no longer Foot Locker. Brooks Cross Country Championships. Just NXN, or are you doing Brooks as well?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna do NXN this year. I think I talked to my coach earlier in the season, and we're pretty much on the same page. Like I'm a junior. let's not over race me. Let's just go all in for NXN and not have any backup plans. Because I feel like if you have a backup plan, it can take away your competitiveness at the main goal, which is NXN. So I think just like racing hard at NXN, having my off time, and just getting ready for track, because track season is going to be a whole nother beast.
Who are the people you look up to in the sport? Any role models that you try to emulate your game after?
Yeah. I think there's a couple, like obviously there's Grant Fisher, since he's kind of paved the way, and there's also Galen Rupp. He's also paved the way for the 5K 10K guys. I think those are definitely the biggest people. But now, like seeing what Parker Wolfe was able to do coming off of the injuries that he had this year, like that's definitely a really big role model. I mean, just the way that he was able to overcome like all those injuries and that adversity and still run really good towards the end of the season off minimal training, it's just really inspiring.
In terms of your long-term perspective on the sport, obviously a year and a half roughly to go in your high school career, what are some things you want to do to cement your legacy in the sport before graduating?
Yeah. I mean, I like to just keep running as fast as I can. It's a little bit harder for guys at altitude to run fast in season. You're gonna have to travel down to sea level, which it can be kind of a burden. But yeah, just like continuously improving and making sure that I'm enjoying it. Because like I said, you're only in high school once. But yeah, just making sure that I'm enjoying everything. There's not many time goals that I want to meet. Like I just want to race hard. I want to win races. Like I'd rather win a race in a slow time than get like third in like a fast time. Like that's just how I've always been. Like the main goal, just compete really hard and just go for the win in every race.
Obviously, I mentioned that 14:23 earlier at Desert Twilight. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but that's what we do on podcasts. It's fun to do. Do you think you could potentially be the first kid under 14 if you got in the right situation next year?
Yeah. I think it's definitely in the realm of possibilities. But like I remember some guy from Mile Split said that he thinks someone's gonna break Solomon's record this year with NXR Southwest. But it was a pretty like the course really soft and no one really went that fast. It went out slow. But I wouldn't rule it out of the cards. But I'm not gonna put pressure on myself to try to break 14 in these barriers, because day to day it's always different. And who knows, maybe some kid will run at some course that's like 3.02 and he'll get the national record. So to me, like the time, like that'd obviously be like really cool to have a national record at one point. But like I said, I'd much rather just win these races and just kind of be at the front of these results in the time being in those years.
What advice do you have for people listening, next generation in the sport, who want to do some of the things you've achieved already?
Yeah. Like I said before, it's just being consistent with their training. Like, there's so many people that just do the same thing that they've been doing and they have crazy improvements. So, like, why can't that be you? Like I said, like if you're gonna try to jump like 20 miles a week one year, like you're just gonna get hurt. You're not gonna enjoy the sport as much. Like just enjoying it, hanging out with your team, building a great relationship with your coach and your teammates. Like just kind of enjoying everything, being consistent with your training. And you never know. Like you can just click one season, you can have a crazy PR, and like the things will come as long as you're enjoying and as long as you're enjoying the sport.
To the Oliver Horton fans out there, final words, 12 days to go in the season. What can they expect from you?
Big things hopefully, as long as everything goes right. We're looking to be on the podium at NXN, so I think I'm just really excited to get after it in Portland.
Thanksgiving Day coming up here. We're recording this on Monday. You've been generous with your time and your schedule. Favorite food and how many miles we got planned on Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, I think favorite food is probably salmon sushi. I've been eating it a lot recently. Or it's crab. It's pretty much seafood because I don't get to eat seafood a lot, being from Colorado. And I think miles on Thanksgiving, I think I just have an easy run because I have a really hard workout the next day, so it's probably going to be 6 miles easy with some strides and kind of enjoy Thanksgiving and get ready to get after it the next day.
Love it, man. Final question for you. Question I ask every guest on every single podcast. If you had Gordon Ramsay coming over to your house for dinner, what would you choose to make for him?
I don't know. I'm a pretty terrible cook. Like, I think at our house we usually just make like pasta with cheese in it and chicken or steak like that. That's probably all I could make. Maybe ramen or like pancakes. Although I'm pretty good at making pancakes, I'd say. I make it most mornings before a race. So probably like chocolate chip pancakes, eggs, and oatmeal probably.
Man of the game. I love it, man. Breakfast for dinner, can't go wrong. Oliver, thank you so much for the time, the insights, the wisdom, and dude, you're remarkably eloquent for a 17-year-old. So I don't know what your parents are feeding you, but it's working. Or wherever you go to school, you talk out of your mind for your age. So keep cooking on that end as much as you do running, because it'll serve you well in life. And excited to watch you at NXN in 12 days. Keep crushing it, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.